Welcome to My New Day Today. Today we're talking about friendship for 3 programs. It's been our 3rd one in a row, talking with Donna Carter, who wrote the book Friend Me. But if you have been longing for a lasting relationship with people or somebody who knows your character inside and out, I want you to know it's a journey worth taking the risk. It's a journey worth hoping for. Don't lose the dream, because God longs for you to have friendships just like that.
Yeah, friendships are invaluable. And they help in so many ways, and it's not just what they do for you.
No.
But it's the spice of life. But
yes,
it just it gives you that sense of belonging. And in a previous program, Donna spoke about that we're the part of the body of Christ, and one of the inherent desires within the heart of every individual is that sense of belonging. And friendship, allows you to nurture that, and because it just brings a sense of security.
Yes.
I'm not only just in community, but I'm in friendship.
And I'm loved no matter what, like right down to everything about who I am, the good, the bad, the ugly. I am loved.
Yes.
And we're all working on this together, and you are worth fighting for, and you are worth fighting for relationships.
And there are practical things that friends can do for you. For example, just before today, Audrey was supposed to bring all my jackets to the studio.
Yes.
And I put them on the bed because I came earlier. So she comes and there's no jackets, nothing to wear. And so what do? We phone a friend.
Yes.
And my dear friend Howard goes into my house, gets my suits, gets my
Absolutely.
Gets it all ready, and so here we are today.
That's right.
And that's a friend.
That's a friend. Friends help each other. They encourage each other. But speaking of friends, we have a new friend for My New Day, and that's Donna. And she has been incredible, so inspiring. She's an inspirational speaker. She's an international author. Welcome to the program.
So good to be back.
Thank you, Donna.
You look smashing, by the way.
Well,
just
thank you. So do you.
Oh, thank you.
We spent a few days
Notice it
together.
wasn't about you at all.
I know.
Oh, he's got a jacket on.
I got a jacket on. Thank you. Yeah. But we've spent a few days with each other. Tell us a bit about your family, your husband Randy, your children.
Randy and I have been married for over 32 years.
Great.
He is a youth specialist, so he speaks at youth events and is a youth ministry consultant for churches, helps them determine strategy and mentors youth pastors. Loves it. He'll never outgrow youth ministry.
Yes.
Wow.
And he is a bit of a junior high boy, I have to say, but he'd be the first to admit that.
Yes,
so.
yes.
We have 2 grown daughters.
I loved reading about him in the book because he's very outgoing and loud.
Huge personality.
Yes, huge personality. So I just loved hearing about Randy.
Yeah.
And then your daughters?
I have a daughter, Kendall, who is married to Michael, and she's a teacher. This is her 2nd year teaching. Kevin, my 2nd daughter, is a creative writer for radio, and works just an hour and a half away, so we're able to see her on weekends.
They
so
must be beautiful.
we are experimenting with the empty nest.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's great.
And it's kind of nice. Actually,
That's good.
don't mind it at all. My husband and I are good friends, so it's working for us.
Oh, that's great. It was good that we talked about that yesterday, because it's important to have that friendship, but then to have friendships in addition to that.
Absolutely.
Let's get right into it about friendships. There are going to be things, obstacles, enemies of friendship, if you would like to say that way, that are going to really challenge us.
Well, give you the opportunity to say no. But today we want to say yes to a friendship.
Yes.
We want to be proactive. I want to, break the inertia, get things going. What are some real practical steps that we can do to begin to walk towards a relationship and friendship?
Well, this is the thing, if you come out of a transition time in your life and you've moved to a new place, and here you are as an adult wondering, how do I form a friendship at this point in my life? Or maybe you've identified some toxic behaviors. I mean, we'll get into talking about that a little bit later, in friendships that you have, or even in yourself. Or you realize you are one of those people who is so terrified of confrontation, you keep walking away from friendship during autumn because you are so afraid of entering that danger zone. Then how do you, as an adult, find a really good friend?
So can you tell your story about when you moved? I love that story.
Well,
no,
not at all. When I was 8 years old, my father was transferred to Calgary from Regina, and we moved in the summer, so there was no real natural fishing pool for friends. And one day my dad came home from work and he said, see that blue house down the street? I met a man at work today who has a girl about your age. Well, that was all it took. I just marched down the street, rang the doorbell, said, I heard you had a daughter about my age. Can she come out to play? She came out to play, and before I even knew her name was Karen, I had found a friend.
That is so beautiful. I remember that story, but I always remember thinking about the one when you were an adult and you went into this place where they were making doilies and talking about cows and heifers and you didn't know the difference. Because I could relate to you.
Yeah, well, okay, so another move later on as an adult, and yeah.
Sorry to introduce it in that way, but I couldn't think of any other way to introduce it.
Yeah, I was with all these people who'd grown up in the country, and it was some sort of an outdoor picnic. I don't even remember exactly what it was, but yeah, I made the mistake of asking the question, admitting that I did not have the knowledge what the difference was between a cow and a heifer. Well, you should have seen
I still don't know.
You should have seen the way these people looked at me. It's like,
so you
I'm
found
a city
yourself
girl.
like a
Cut
fish
me
out of
some
water.
slack. Yeah,
no, because you were faced with a challenge. You were trying to make friends in a place where you felt like you were completely the outsider.
I did.
And the reason I bring it up is because that happens to so many of us, where we feel like, are we the only ones that don't know what everyone else is talking about?
Right, right. And so we're looking for that affinity. And what I learned in that place was really valuable, that you know, growing up in the city together or growing up in the country together isn't what makes a great friend.
Right.
It has to do with our passions, with those things that make us weep and pound the table or lie awake at night too excited to sleep.
Yes.
And eventually I did find that kind of a friend there, my friend Patty.
Country.
In the country.
Yes.
And she knew the difference between a heifer and a cow because she grew up in 4-H, so she was able to straighten me out on some things.
You know, I don't know, but I don't think I need to,
no,
so it's okay.
It's probably not that important in Phoenix.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So, but when you get into yourself in a situation where the people that are listening right now are saying, okay, we've talked about friends for 3 days, I want to know what to do.
What to do, absolutely. Well, it's not unlike that story that I just told about marching up the street and ringing the doorbell and asking if Karen could come out to play before I even knew her name was Karen.
Right.
We have to be proactive. It's as though people sometimes think they're going to trip over the perfect friend on the way to the office in the morning. It doesn't happen that way.
Right.
You have to take action. I had a really neat thing happened to me when I reconnected with my friend Becky after many years. We had really only been casual friends. We'd gone into the same youth group as teenagers, and then they went away and worked in many other countries, and we moved, and we were just never together again. And then they moved back to my city, and we kept sort of bumping into each other at different events. And we had enjoyed a few really nice conversations. Well, then one day I get an email out of the blue from Becky, and she says, I have felt such affinity with you in those few times that we've met, and I would like to know if you would be interested in entering into a more intentional friendship with me.
Wow.
I know, and I said, I looked at my computer.
Bob's face is
I looked at my
what?
computer and I said, yes, I would love that.
Yes.
And I thought it was so awesome that
Those
she
are
took
words
that
that
initiative.
guys would never say to each other.
Well, maybe they should, Bob.
Wow.
Maybe they should.
A more intentional relationship with you.
It was great, and so we did begin to get together once a month, and it has become such a great friendship for both of us. And I've done similar kinds of things.
Sure. And it takes courage, it takes guts.
Oh, absolutely.
It takes a risk.
You know what? There's nothing about friendship that doesn't involve risk.
Right.
Let's just get that out there right now. So you know, if you're afraid, just get over being afraid, because, you know, or get used to being afraid, because because that's what it takes. It really does take
And I
risk.
find that whenever there's something I have to do that's scary, it's going to take a lot of courage. I call it double dog daring. I just dare myself to do it. It's like, okay, today's the day. I'm not going to procrastinate one more time. This is happening. I'm going to force myself, and then but I give myself a reward after. Like something I love. For instance, I don't do it very often, but I love a massage. I'm going to do something I really hate doing for a day. I'm going to do all the things I've been putting off that
and then you'll
take
reward
a lot of courage,
yourself.
but then I had this booked.
Right.
Right? I'm just saying, it's just an idea. Just
well, last
making it
night, you know, Patty and I were in the hotel, and we were adjusting to the time change, or at least that's our excuse. So we were in bed really early, and we were flicking through the channels, and we caught part of the movie I Bought a Zoo.
Oh,
and there's this.
Don't even get Bob going.
It is a great movie, and there's a great little part in it where the dad says, sometimes you just need 20 seconds of insane courage.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yes.
I know. So that's what it takes. That 20 seconds of insane courage that may make you pick up the phone and call someone, like I did with my my friend Wendy, my husband was traveling and speaking every weekend when I had little kids, and I got really tired of having no social life.
Right.
So I decided I needed a single friend because I wasn't comfortable inviting my married friends away from their husbands on the weekend just because I was alone.
Right.
I knew Wendy was single. I knew a little bit about her. I had admired her from a distance, and so I picked up the phone and I said, you know, I know you don't really know me, but I'd love to get to know you. I'm wondering whether you might be free to go for dinner this weekend.
Right.
In retrospect, I realized I was sort of like I was asking her out for a date or something. But the honest, direct approach has always worked for me. She said yes, and another really wonderful friendship was born. Sometimes we just have to be proactive.
Yes.
I have a friend, Catherine, who's married to an oil executive. And in the time I've known her, they've moved from Texas to Calgary, from Calgary to Alaska. And thankfully for her, she couldn't go any further north without going south again, so they're back in Texas.
Yeah.
Right.
But because of her frequent moves, she's had to figure out how to make friends. And one of the things she does that I think is just brilliant, besides accepting every invitation and joining everything she can think of, is she finds a reason for the people that she's interested in being friends with to become a group.
Say that in a different way.
She finds a reason for people that she admires to become a group. So for example, she'll invite this woman from the school and this woman from church and this woman from her neighborhood and this woman from the office to start a book club together. So they don't necessarily know each other, but she feels affinity with all of them. So the chances are good they're going to have some chemistry together.
Right.
Another thing, when she lived in Calgary, I didn't know her well, and I got a phone call or an email saying, I'd love to go to this certain coffee shop in Inglewood, which is a really artsy part of Calgary, and then go antiquing together.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any of the other women she invited, but I knew Catherine, and I thought, sounds like fun, why not?
Yeah, she just gets groups of random people.
She does,
all
and she
together.
finds a
She's
reason for
gatherer.
them to become a group.
Okay, all right. I got two very outgoing people.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean? So what about, I'm sure there's got to be shy women out there as well.
Right.
You know, or
And they might be
you
the
know,
lonely ones.
And they're the ones that I'm not going to put myself out there like that. And then it's like, you might be bold enough to do that, but I'm not.
Well, 20 seconds of insane courage. Maybe it's behind a computer screen. You know, maybe it's the person who sends the email saying, would you be interested? Then it's not face to face. You don't have to deal with the awkwardness of, no, I really don't want to, you know? So it's done by email. And then you've got time to formulate your thoughts.
Yeah. And then the 20 seconds of insanity are pushing send. Send.
That's
it's
right.
done.
And then it comes back negative, then what?
Well, then you realize that affinity was not shared, and you have to find it with someone else.
Yeah.
Yay for that.
Yeah, this is, hey, I'm glad you wrote the book. What you said earlier.
It's true, though.
Yeah,
It's true.
No, this
You have to put
isn't
yourself out there.
necessary to be talking about.
Yeah.
But something that you said earlier in the program, and I want to touch on this again, is what makes us great friends is our passions. I thought that's very, very good, because for the person that's looking for the friend, best define what are your passions. What are you passionate about? And then begin to find others that share like passions.
Well, and there's a few different ways to do that. If you're not the kind of person who would feel free to say to someone, tell me about the movies that make you weep. Tell me about your favorite books. Who are your heroes? Some of those deep questions where we find affinity and we really get to know something about that person's character. You can also join an organization you're passionate about, and chances are good you're going to meet someone else there who's passionate about the same thing. And I think that the depth of our relationship is reflected, or the depth of our relationship is reflected by the depth of our shared passions. So in other words, a passion for shoe shopping, it could define a really fun relationship, but that is not going to be the friend I'm going to call when my world falls apart.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is how Patty and I connected. I mean, at first it was about things like shoe shopping, but then we realized we both cared so much about helping women grow.
Yes.
In their faith, in their relationships, overcome the obstacles in their, their baggage and their hurts. we cared about that so much. We weren't content to settle for the status quo that existed in our church.
Exactly.
And that's how we connected.
I love that. That's the shared passion, as you say, that keeps you up at night, that makes you so mad you just want to pound the table, that kind of passion.
It almost felt like we had been wandering around through life with half the pieces to a jigsaw puzzle.
Right.
And when we brought them together, it was just exhilarating.
It just, the energy in that.
Turns out the women that were running our women's ministry hated pretty much everything we came up with for ideas to change. But, you know, and that was disappointing, but it wasn't devastating because we realized we'd found this unique thing, this friendship that would carry on for life. And we only lived in the same city for 2 years, but we've been friends for 20. So it's something we've really worked at.
I love that. Do you find that the most, one of the best things to do is just start being generous and give your time, volunteer? If you feel lonely, is it time to give?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I think accept invitations, extend invitations, join everything you can think of. Eventually you're going to sense that affinity. And then that's the time to extend an invitation and see if that interest is reciprocated.
Right.
Like Becky did through an email, or through, you know, inviting that person out for lunch and start talking about the deeper things. You know,
I love it.
What books really move you?
I love those questions. What's your favorite movie of all time? Because then it never fails. All of a sudden, the conversation gets electric. If you've seen the same movie or read the same book or have the same passion.
And suddenly goes deeper.
Yes,
it's not about what happened today or yesterday. It's
or
about
even about
what
the
makes
movie
you
or the
tick.
book.
No. It's about your character.
Okay, so we have a few more minutes on this program, but I want to talk about some of the toxic things that we can participate with, as well as others that we encounter in friendships. And one of those is envy. You talk about that in the book.
And envy can be so incredibly destructive to a friendship. I know that I had a friend at one time, and initially we were attracted to each other because we had so much in common. But then, as the friendship moved toward autumn, it felt like it was a competition. It was a subtle.
You were both strong in the same areas?
Yes, and our relationship was all about comparing our strengths and concealing our weaknesses. And it was.
And that's what competition will do.
It was a grown-up, subtle, sophisticated version of your dad's stronger than, you know, my dad's stronger than your dad, and well, my dad's richer than your dad. That's sort of what it felt like.
Yes.
And I would go home feeling worse about myself when we were together.
That is such a key element. If you feel worse about yourself, then that means that person is not valuing you.
There's something not healthy going on.
And then still, on the other spectrum, that we as friends need to say, how can I value this person enough to make them feel even more, how important and precious they are as people. That's how I want people to leave after they've been with me. And that can be our goal.
I love that in this friendship that I had, God used her presence in my life, even though it was so incredibly uncomfortable,
yes,
to focus a spotlight on places in my heart that were wounded, calloused, and bruised. And
you didn't waste your pain.
He didn't waste my pain, but I had a choice to make in that autumn. I could either dig my head in the sand and ignore what God was showing me, or I could bring those things to Jesus for healing and forgiveness. And once I could do that for myself, then I could also accept those things in my friend, even though her weaknesses were so similar.
Did they end up actually being insecurities in yourself?
Yes.
That's what I usually find. I think that when I'm in a competition with someone and it turns into that, it ends up actually being the deeper part of that is that, yes, it's my strength, but it's also where there's some insecurity.
Yes.
And those can be buttons and triggers. What about gossip? What do we do when we're in a gossip situation with a bunch of girls? Because you know that happens.
Oh, of course it does. And the best way that I found to handle those kinds of situations is to either make it about, I mean, you could really sound superior and condescending if you just said,
I've been in that situation.
You shouldn't gossip, you know.
Yeah. Well, I know. Haven't you been in that one? When we're all having fun gossiping?
Yeah, and then suddenly...
I'm sorry, but I've had fun gossiping before, and someone's going, excuse me, everyone. You know, we need to stop this, which I appreciate.
Right. But there's a way to do that without sounding superior. And one of them is, you know what? I have enough trouble keeping my own heart right. I don't really need to hear about anybody else's stuff. Make it about you, not about them. And the second thing that you can do is return or counter everything negative said with something positive.
Yes.
Even if you agree
I love that.
entirely with the negative statement,
Right.
there's almost always something positive you can say instead.
It's so true, because the power of life or death is in our tongue. So we need to be so careful when it comes to gossip. There are so many amazing truths in these books, Bob. And the book we've been talking about for the last 3 days is Donna Carter's book, Friend Me, Turning Faces into Lasting Relationships. We encourage you to get the book. You've seen the commercial about that. But also, I just want to mention this. It's an entire women's Bible study, a DVD, study guide, discussion questions. You can go to donnacarter.org for more of that. But we're going to take a break, and then Donna's going to help us of how to apply today's message to your life. We'll be right back.
Having Donna Carter with us these past few days has really been enjoyable. I've learned a lot.
Me
I
too.
know it's been directed more towards women and things, but for me, just understanding, and I think we need to, again, value relationships and our friendships and cherish those and invest. And I can't encourage you enough. Please get a copy of Donna's book. The stories in here will help you, as well as the principles will help bring real direction, to guide you as you begin to nurture and develop healthy, right relationships.
And so now, Donna, just help us to just conclude this whole area on the importance of friendship.
Well, of course, the most important friendship we can ever have is a friendship with God. Jesus is the one friend who will never leave us or forsake us. In fact, John said, this is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us. I wonder if you have ever initiated a friendship with God. It just involves some of the words that are common in every friendship. I'm sorry, thank you, and please. We come to God and we say, I'm sorry. I know that I've failed morally. I know that I have lived independent from you and I have not honored you with my life, and I am sorry. And then we say, thank you for dying on the cross and rising again so that I could have a restored relationship with God. And then we say, please, take over the leadership of my life. I know I can't live a life that's even satisfying to myself, let alone pleasing to you, without your help, so please, lead me. Maybe you're someone who has at some point initiated a friendship with God, but you've grown away from him. You've gone through some autumn of disappointment in your relationship with him, and now you're floundering. Jesus' disciples went through this season. Jesus was doing some pretty strange things that they did not understand, and a lot of them abandoned him. But Jesus looked over his shoulder, and there was Simon Peter still, and he said, are you going to leave me too? Simon said, where would I go? You alone have the words of eternal life. We believe them, and we know that you are who you say you are. You are God, and you are my friend. If you are struggling through a season of pain, of disillusionment with God, then let Peter's prayer be the cry of your heart. Come back to him. Invest in an ever-deepening relationship with Jesus, and then look for a friend to share the adventure.
Donna, thank you so much. And for you who have been with us in this 3-day journey, it's just the beginning, but that's a great place to be. And very possibly today, you're beginning to say, you know what? I have just kind of walked away. Life has just gotten busy, and I miss my friendship with God. I'm telling you, Jesus is forever pursuing you in his everlasting love. So today, as Donna has shared, would you please tell somebody? Just say, hey, I'm watching this TV show, but I'm coming back. I'm coming home. Would you? You can call someone here at My New Day, but I bet you there's a friend that's been very close to you, and they're standing there and they're just waiting to hear from you. Give them that call today. Send that email, whatever it might be. Today is your new day. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.